finally here. The review that nobody asked for. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, 1971. Now, yeah, I get it. This album is old. There's many albums that came out this year that are good and that are substantial and that I could do a proper review on. But I'm choosing this album not just because I have it on vinyl, for many reasons. One, this is the this is the 50th year anniversary of this album. This is old, it's long, but also the social relevancy of this album is far more important than any other album I could review at this time. Also, Marvin Gaye is one of my favorite artists of all time, and I think that this is a great introduction and a great classic album. Kind of throw it back a little bit because I think for albums, for the most part, yeah, I can review it when it comes out, but for the most part, I feel like time has to settle in for me to be like, okay, yeah, I feel this strongly about this album, and for this album, I feel very strongly about it. So without further ado, let's get into this review. Okay, so quick history for this album. Marvin Gaye, son of a preacher, living poor, living day to day, living in the slums, living in the ghettos, is somehow finds a spot at Motown. He gets so ingrained into Motown that he actually marries the sister of the owner of Motown, Anna Gordy, which he later divorces and have it in an album later, but that's too far. Basically, all you need to know is that Marvin Gaye is the son of a preacher. That's relevant to the music, and you must understand that Marvin was a very big artist at the time. He had multiple number ones. He had hits on hits on hits. Everything he wanted to know. I mean, everything he wanted. He had the recognition. But back home, Marvin Gaye's brother was actually fighting in the Vietnam War. And this really conflicted Marvin Gaye. He kind of wanted to go pop, but he felt as if he should talk about the music and talk about music in the sense where it means the most to him. So he goes, he makes this album, he sends it to Berry Gordy, and he's like, yo, this album, I like it, it's important. But at the time, protest music in the 1970s was not very common at all, and Berry Gordy knew that this probably wasn't going to sell as much as his old record, so he said no. Marvin Gaye was conflicted. He showed this to his sister. His sister said, you know what? You need to release this. This is one of the best albums I've ever heard. He breaks off from Motown and he releases this album. And 50 years later, Rolling Stones says that this is the best album of all time. Not to say that Rolling Stones is kind of like, I don't know, the trustworthy stuff. They also like crap on every artist that I love. Going into the music side of this, the first track is called What's Going On. It's the title track, where Marvin Gaye is essentially just talking to the listener and asking him what's going on. You know, there's too many of us, there's too many of my kind dying, there's too many of our women crying and having all of this grief. There's a sense of grief all around what's going on. He even has a shivering line saying, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate, which is kind of spooky given the fact that his father took Marvin's Gaye life. But yeah, this song is just him telling the listeners. It has a nice drums to it. The pianos is great. I love this song, and then it transitions into What's Happening, Brother, where Marvin Gaye is a little less formal, kind of talking to how you would talk to maybe a friend or maybe a coworker. You know, he has some conspiracies about the newspaper lying to him, and it's just kind of like how you would talk to a friend, maybe just kind of the dialogue that would go around these times. Not really having to go into these songs. For the most part, every song on this album is kind of self-explanatory. What's going on, what's happening. These are all things that when you look at the title of the track, you can already tell, like, he's asking you these questions. There are more songs like the next one, Flying High in the Friendly Sky, that are a little more deep, acquire a little more listening compared to What's Going On and What's Happening, the more kind of percussive and the lively sound. This is kind of a little more spaced out. Flying High in a Friendly Sky is supposed to represent his brother, who was a pilot fighter in the Vietnam War, but also the people who are losing their lives to the Vietnam War. It's a very emotional track. There's a choir in the background, Marvin Gaye's voice, and some strings, and that's all. And he keeps that flowing with "Save the Children," which is just Marvin Gaye saying, like, what is this doing to the new generation? We see this violence. We see the police and African Americans. We see them, conflicting at an all-time high. There's pollution. What is this doing to the next generation? We need to protect the children. We need to save the children. And yeah, it's a very important song. It's really good. It's spaced out like the other one, and then the transition from that is save the children into how do we save the children? We save the children through Christ. The next track is called God is Love. This track is super sweet. I mean, the first thing that Marvin Gaye says on this track is, "Don't talk about my father because God is my friend." Aww. He's very sappy. I mean, he's a church boy. What can you say? He's very sappy. He's very happy. He's very positive. He's all of those good things. He's basically saying that God is the answer. God is the truth. If we love each other and we love God, all of these problems can be solved. And transitions into Mercy, Mercy, Me, which I would say is probably the most politically charged up there. And it's also shocking of how relevant the things that he's talking in there. He's talking about pollution, killing the animals. Animals are going extinct. He's talking about the oil spills that are still occurring. He's talking about policemen, sending people to jail for petty crimes for how all these types of years. It's just it's definitely the most emotional track on this. It's just super emotionally charged, and the sax at the end of it is just blaring and yelling at you and just making you uncomfortable and getting in your face. It really is a tearjerker. Like this song is definitely the most emotional. From then it goes to Right On, which is the longest track. It's like 7 minutes. At first, I was not big on this track at all. I thought it was way too long. There's this little knob thing in your ear if you listen with headphones that goes on, and I just don't like it. But once you kind of listen to it more and you get what he's trying to say, which is kind of similar to God is Love, where he's saying, hey, like, we're all different people. I understand this, but through love, through God, that's the way we're all connected. We're all connected through love. Take God out of the factor. If you're not affiliated with religion, we're all here because of love, and that's all that we should be doing. All of the hate that's going on, all of the hate that's going around, it isn't necessary. We should all just love each other, which I 100% agree with. What makes this track is definitely the ending. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but all of this album is very connected. I mean, the transitions on this is otherworldly. It is truly, in my opinion, one of the best transitioning albums of all time. And the only way that, I could prove you right is if you would listen to it. Like, even if, it's not a long album. It's like 35 minutes. But even if you're like, I don't have enough time for that, just go to what's going on any streaming device and skip to the end of it, which I don't recommend. I would rather you just listen to the whole thing. Skip to the end of it. Listen to the last 5-10 seconds of it and watch it transition to the next song. It blows your mind. And especially from Right On to Holy Holy. Holy Holy is kind of like Save the Children, Fly High in a Friendly Sky, where no drums, it's spaced out, it's just a choir, strings, and Marvin Gaye's voice. But I think that this is one of the more sweeter, one of the more personal ones. And to me, it sounds the best out of the three. Not that the other three sound bad, but this song is insane. The first time I listened to it, I was just like blown back. I mean, listen to this song with headphones does it even more justice. It's just such a sweet album. It's such a sweet song. He's just talking about what he talks about. And the whole album, We all need to be together. We all need to love. That is the motif of this album. Love your friends, love your peers, love people who don't share the same opinions of you. Just love people. And this transitions greatly to the last track, which is Inner City Blues, where Marvin Gaye is saying that the Vietnam War, his whole anti-war statements, people going off the war to die, kids going off the war to die, it makes him want to holler, and it makes him want to dance. This is kind of, it's funny to say, the most like negative Marvin gets in this whole album, where he's saying that all of these negative connotations makes him want to scream, makes him want to kick things, and it's great. I think it's just as long as Right On, maybe a little shorter, but I definitely, you know, prefer this length. I think it's used a lot better than Right On. So yeah, it's basically talking about how he can't pay his taxes, how, you know, his mother's crying, his dad's, you know, hating on him, just all this stuff. And he's just like, yo, this makes me upset, this makes me want to holler, this makes me angry, makes me want to cry, which, hey Marvin, I feel you too. This is the last song, and then it kind of breaks off, slows down into this piano solo where Marvin is saying, you know, he's repeating the first verse of What's Going On. So he's saying, mother, mother, everyone thinks we're wrong. Who are they to judge us simply because we want to grow our hair long? And it ends like that. The choir comes in, faint strings come out. And the crazy thing about this album was made in 1970. If you get this last song and transition it to the first song, it still transitions, which is like crazy to think about. That Marvin Gaye thought about this 50 years ago, when albums, you know, nowadays are for the most part just not transitioning as good as they could be. And that is all the songs. Once again, this album is amazing. I've listened to this album far more than you know, like roughly guessing maybe over 50 to 100 times. I mean, this was my most played album of last year. Of course, you know, because of relevancy of Black Lives Matter, I felt connected to what Marvin Gaye was saying. But I just think this is just enjoyable. Every song is enjoyable. This is definitely the perfect introduction to Marvin Gaye. Does he have better albums? That is up to debate. A lot of people say this is his best. I think this is maybe his best, not my personal favorite, but I think it's one of the best. If you took 30 minutes just to listen to this album, you won't regret it. This album is great. What do you think about this album? I thought you were reviewing Rex Orange County. I had the shirt and everything. It's not Drake. It's not Kendrick. It's not Tyler the Creator. It's not Rex Orange County. It's Marvin Gaye. It's fine, I guess. It's a good record, I guess. I listened to it. It's cool. You know, I don't really like the 808s. Where are the 808s? It's okay at best. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I genuinely don't like you at all. I think you just repulse me. Please get out of my room. Yeah, so that was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. I left a lot of details out on purpose because I actually do want you to listen to this and, you know, to kind of make your own opinions on this. I mean, yeah, I rated this highly, but I think there's still like room for you to critique or room for you to say, oh, I don't like that you didn't like this, or, you know, I liked this that you didn't like, or, you know, you didn't like this and I like this. I might just be saying the same things over and over again. What's going on, Marvin Gaye? I'm out. That's peace. That's a wrap. I'm out. Bye. Have a great day. Have a good day.